everyone, Jai Hind and welcome to the platform of SRIRAM's IAS. And in this session of Polity in 20 minutes, we'll be discussing about the Vice President of India, and that will be covering in this session. All right, but before moving ahead, let me tell you that we are offering free 1:1 mentorship at SRIRAM's IAS. And you can avail this benefit if you are encountering any problem while preparing for the civil services. What you need to do is, you need to fill out the form, Google form that's given in the description box. You need to fill out that Google form, and the trusted mentors at the SRIRAM's IAS will get in touch with you. Now, coming to the constitutional framework for the Vice President of India, it is given under Part 5, Chapter 1 and between Articles 63 to 71. That gives, or they give a complete framework that defines the office structure as well as the election procedure, the term and removal of the Vice President, and also the functional relations. That is what his role is with respect to the President, and even as a chairman of the Rajya Sabha. It was Grenville Austin who said that he is the bridge between the executive and the legislative. And when we talk about Republic of India, he holds the second highest constitutional office after the President of India. All right, the model of the Vice President that we have taken, it draws largely from the US Constitution. However, it has been adopted for the Indian parliamentary democracy that we follow in India. Now, when it comes to the position and role of the Vice President, so he is the second highest office after the President of India that I have told you already. When it comes for the legislative leadership, he acts as the ex-official chairman of the Rajya Sabha under Article 64, which is unique dual role position that we have, and it has been taken from the US Constitution. And also, he is also act as, when the President is not in his office, he acts as the President during the vacancy, absence or incapacity of the President of India. So over here, he is not subordinate to the President, but it is, or he is functionally independent within the Parliament's framework that we have in India. Now, these are the articles that deal with the President of India. Article 63, that gives the office of the Vice President. 64, which says that he will be the ex-official chairman of Rajya Sabha. 65, which provides that he has to act as the President during the vacancy that lies in the President's office. Then Article 66, which provides for the election of the Vice President. The term of office is given under Article 67 along with the removal process. Then if there would be vacancy and the re-election provision, that is provided under Article 68. Then 69 gives the oath and affirmation, and 70th article is about discharge of the President function, and also 71st is about the dispute that relates to the election. Let me tell you that any dispute that is related to the President or the Vice President are handled by the Supreme Court. They could lie only in the Supreme Court. Now, when it comes to the eligibility, you will find that the eligibility is quite similar to that of the President, except for one thing that is different over here. So, in President of India, I have told you that he must be citizen of India. All right, he must be at least 35 years of age. So, that is just exactly like the President of India. But over here, you will note that over here, the legislative qualification is that he must be qualified to be elected as member of Rajya Sabha. In terms of President, we have seen that he must be qualified to be member of Lok Sabha, but for the Vice President, he must be qualified to be a member of Rajya Sabha, and then he must not hold any office of profit under government. And we know the exception to the office of profit are President, Vice President, Ministers, Governors. They are the exempt from the office of profit. Now, when it comes to the election of the Vice President, it is given under Article 66. There is indirect election process just like that of the President. But over here, we have an electoral college. Please note over here that in the electoral college, they are elected as well as nominated members. All right, the nominated members, they do not take part in the election of President. But for the Vice President, we have elected and nominated members of both the houses of Parliament. There is no state legislative assembly that take part in the election of the Vice President. Along with this, when we talk about the state legislature, they are excluded, or they do not participate in the election of the Vice President of India. The voting system is the same, proportional representation by means of single transferable vote, and there is a secret ballot that is used that ensures independence and prevents the undue influence as well. And the conducting authority is the same, that is the Election Commission of India that oversees the election of the Vice President of India. Now, when we talk about the election over here, you can compare both of them. When it comes to the president, there are MPs and MLAs, and also over here it is important to note that only elected members of parliament and the members of legislative assemblies, they take part in the they are in the electoral college of the president. Alright, so over here we have MLAs as well, but over here we have MPs only, and no MLAs are included in the electoral college of vice president. At the same time, the nominated members are excluded. However, over here we have the member of parliament which are elected. Along with this, we have nominated members as well, which are part of the electoral college of the vice president. Now, over here, because we have MLAs or the members of legislative assemblies, so there is state's presence that is there. But over here, we do not have the state presence that you can see in the electoral college or the election process of the vice president. Over here, the returning officer for the president is Secretary General to the Lok Sabha. However, in the case of vice president, it is Secretary General to the Rajya Sabha. And the constitutional article for the election of the president is 54, 55, and we have 66th article that deals with the election of the Vice President of India. So at the same time, when we talk about the president election, that reflects the federal nature of our constitution. But at the same time, the election of Vice President, that reflects the national nature of the election of the Vice President. Now, when it comes to the tenure and re-election, he is elected for a term of 5 years from the date when he enters the office. All right. Then we have that he can be re-elected any number of times, the same that we have seen in the case of president, and also he holds office until a successor assumes the charge. All right, he can also submit his resignation. To whom he submits his resignation? To the President of India, and also he could be removed by the effective majority of the Rajya Sabha, which have been agreed by the Lok Sabha. And there is, please remember, there is no impeachment process, just like the president, for removing the vice president from the office. When it comes to the oath and affirmation, that is provided under Article 69, and the oath is administered by the president in the Rashtrapati Bhavan itself, and this is the oath text, that to bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of India, to faithfully discharge the duties of the office, to preserve, protect and defend the Constitution and the law. So over here, this oath symbolizes the loyalty to the Constitution and not to the government or the legislature for the Vice President. Now, when it comes to the vacancy may arise because of the death, because of the resignation, even removal, or because of the expiry of the term. Now, over here, please remember that before the expiry, the election must be conducted. But it is before the expiry. But if the vacancy is because of the death, removal, or by resignation, that is before the expiry of the term, if the Vice President dies or he resigns or at the same time he is removed from his office, so then in whole of the Constitution, you will find that the election must be held within the 6 months. But there is an exception for the Vice President. It is written that the election should be held as soon as possible after the vacancy. Please remember, there is no 6-month criteria that is mentioned under Article 68. It is written as soon as possible. And ultimately, when we talk about the temporary arrangement, so the Deputy Chairman, he acts as the Rajya Sabha Chairman only. The Deputy Chairman of the Rajya Sabha cannot act, or he does not act like the Vice President in the case of the vacancy of the post of the Vice President. Alright. Now, according to Article 64, the legislative leadership had been provided to the Vice President of India, and he acts as the ex-officio chairman of the Rajya Sabha. That means that the chairman of Rajya Sabha is not elected. Whoever is elected as the Vice President of India, by being Vice President of India, he gets the role of the chairman of the Rajya Sabha. And in this role, he chairs the proceeding of the upper house or the Rajya Sabha. Along with this, he maintains the discipline and decorum, and also decides admissibility of the motions and the rules of procedure. And in the event of a tie break, he has a casting vote that if there's a tie during the voting, so then he can use his casting vote. Otherwise, he cannot vote in the first instance. Only he can vote when there is a tie and then a decision has to be made. So over there, he gets the casting vote in the case of equality of the votes in the Rajya Sabha. So he's just like speaker, like the speaker of the Lok Sabha, but at the same time, he is non-partisan and he is indirectly connected to the executive as well. Now, what are the powers of chairman of Rajya Sabha? Alright, so he has power of presiding over the business of the Rajya Sabha. That is, he manages question hour, debates and the legislative procedure. Alright, he maintains the order and he can suspend the members for the misconduct or disorderly behavior. Also, he gets to have a casting vote, that is in the event of a tie break, and at the same time, he also refers bills and issues to the parliamentary committees, and also he has power under the 10th schedule, that is anti-defection law that we have studied, and he can remove the members. Alright, he can disqualify a member on the basis of the 10th schedule or anti-defection law. However, please remember, this is a landmark judgment, Kihoto Holohan, in 1992, where the decision of the presiding officer, that is speaker or the chairman under the 10th schedule that are subjected to judicial review, had been laid down. Alright, now when he acts as the acting president, alright, he acts as the acting president when there is a vacancy in the office of the President of India. Alright, when office of president, it lies vacant, or at the same time, the president is unable to discharge the duties at that point of time, he will act as the President of India. And while he is acting as the President of India, he does not get the salary or emoluments of the Vice President. He gets the salary and emoluments of the President of India, also all the powers of the President of India. Then he is just like the President. Alright, everything, the salary, the powers are of the President of India, and also at this point of time, he does not perform any functions which are of the chairman of Rajya Sabha. Alright, there had been two historical examples. We had in 1969, V.V. Giri, who was then the Vice President. He acted as the President after the death of Zakir Hussain, and in 1977, B.D. Jatti, he acted after the death of Fakhruddin Ali Ahmad demise. Alright, so these had been the two historical examples that we have when the Vice President have discharged the function of the President of India. Now, what are the functions that he maintains during the acting presidency? So, he administers the government on the advice of Council of Ministers, just like the President. He is like the President. He is acting as the President. So, all the functions will be of the President. So, he administers government on the advice of Council of Ministers. He can summon, prorogue Parliament, or he can even appoint Prime Minister or the other ministers. And he also can sign ordinances, bills as well as executive orders, and also acts as link between the outgoing as well as the incoming president that would be there. So he acts as purely a constitutional caretaker if there is a vacancy for the President of India, and maintains strict neutrality during this point of time. Now, when it comes to the removal procedure is quite simple, and it is not the impeachment process that is followed, and the removal is given under Article 67B of the Constitution. Now, over here, there is a notice period that have to be served. 14 days notice have to be given before proceeding for the removal, alright, or the resolution that is required. 14 days notice period, that was again, it was same in the President's case as well. In the President's case, the impeachment motion can be brought in any of the House of the Parliament. But at the same time, when we are talking about the Vice President, the removal resolution will be only brought in the Rajya Sabha. Alright, it is not the any house, it is the Rajya Sabha where it has to be brought. Alright, and over here it has to be passed by majority of all members. Alright, and this is called as effective majority. Effective majority is, it is more than, effective majority is equals to 50% plus 1 votes. At least, that is more than 50% votes of total membership. Alright, it is not about who are present or who are not present and voting. All right, it is the effective majority. With the effective majority, we mean that at least 50% of the total membership of the votes must be given, and then only with the effective majority, the Rajya Sabha resolution may be passed, and ultimately then it will go to the Lok Sabha. Now in Lok Sabha, it must be agreed to by Lok Sabha by simple majority. All right, either we have the simple majority, and by simple majority we mean it has to be 50% plus 1 votes at least. That is more than 50% of the votes of members present and voting. Those members who are present and voting, whether the amount of the votes, it's more than the total membership of the house or not. Alright, so over here, it has to be more than 50% of the members who are present and voting, and in Rajya Sabha, it has to have an effective majority, and this is a key distinction between the removal of the president that is done by the impeachment and the removal of the vice president that's done by a simple resolution or removal process. Now, when we talk about vice president and the deputy chairman, alright, vice president acts as the chairman of the Rajya Sabha. At the same time, we have deputy chairman as well. For the vice president, the constitutional bases are from the article 63 to 70, but for the deputy chairman, we have article 89. Alright, the vice president is elected by an electoral college where we have the members from both the houses. However, the deputy chairman is elected by the Rajya Sabha, and the term of office for the vice president is 5 years. At the same time, the term of office of the deputy chairman is coterminous with the membership of his own for the Rajya Sabha. Alright, the vice president is actually, he is ex officio chairman of the Rajya Sabha, but at the same time, when the vice president is not there or he is not chairing the Rajya Sabha, at that point of time in his absence, he will be substituted by the deputy chairman who will chair the proceedings of the Rajya Sabha. Alright, he can be removed, the vice president, by Rajya Sabha resolution that is passed by the effective majority and agreed to it by the Lok Sabha. At the same time, the deputy chairman is removed by simply by the Rajya Sabha resolution only, and it requires only simple majority. At the same time, he can act, the vice president can act as the president during the vacancy in the office of the president, but the deputy chairman, he cannot act as the president of India. So this is the difference between the vice president and the deputy chairman. Now, what is the constitutional significance of the position of the vice president? Over here, he personifies parliamentary democracy neutrality, that is democratic impartiality. He ensures seamless transition of the presidential authority in the event he acts as the president of India. At the same time, he bridges executive and the legislative branches and also promotes neutrality and the procedural integrity of the constitutional governance and symbolizes stability and even adaptability. So when it comes to the constitutional significance of the vice president, he personifies the impartiality of India's parliamentary democracy, and this had been said by Greenville Austin. Now, when it comes to the comparison to the US system, so we have taken the position of the vice president from the US Constitution, and India is actually a parliamentary democracy. At the same time, US follows the presidential democracy. Now, in India, the vice president, the election is indirect and it is done by member of parliament of both the houses. But at the same time, in US, the vice president is elected along with the president of the USA. Alright, in India, he acts as the chairman of Rajya Sabha, and the same over there, he is the president of the Senate. Senate is the upper house in US. Senate is actually the name of the upper house. The lower house is called as the Congress in USA. Alright, in India, he acts as the president, but when we talk about the USA, he becomes the president. In the absence of the president, the vice president, he becomes the president, and over there, he is the real constitutional successor and permanent and substantive. But at the same time, when it comes to the vice president of India, he acts as the president and he is just a nominal legislative head and a temporary and ceremonial head when he acts as the president of India. So when we talk about in USA, the vice president, he has the executive succession power. But in India, the vice president does not have the executive succession power, but only temporary acting role when there is a vacancy in the office of vice president of, in the office of president of India. Now, when it comes to the critical role in the modern governance of the Vice President, he ensures bipartisan balance in the upper house proceedings, and thereby he stabilizes or gives stability to the Rajya Sabha. At the same time, the increasingly vital role of him is very, very important in the multi-party parliamentary landscape that we have or we have seen in today's modern Indian political setup, and therefore his role is important for the coalition politics as well. He facilitates consensus building across different political parties and the divides, and therefore acts for the dispute resolution and also upholds standards of debate and legislative decorum and ensures the parliamentary ethics that we have. So it was Dr. S. Radhakrishnan who shaped the intellectual debate culture in the Rajya Sabha. Also, we had Hamid Ansari sir, who championed the parliamentary procedures, and even Venkaiah Naidu as the Vice President who enhanced the legislative productivity, and therefore there is contemporary relevance of the position of the Vice President of India. Now, when it comes to the President, the Vice President of India, all right, he ensures unbroken executive authority and smooth transition. When there is position vacant for the President of India, also he represents non-partisan leadership in the legislative affairs and upholds equilibrium between the national and legislative interest, and therefore maintains the federal balance. All right, so though when it comes to the position of the Vice President, it is not powerful, it is less powerful, but it is crucial for the legislative discipline because he maintains the parliamentary order and procedural integrity in the Rajya Sabha. Also for the federal balance, where he bridges the national interest with the legislative functions, and it is also important for the constitutional guardian, the role in which he acts as the constitutional guardian and acts as the caretaker during the effective and executive transition at the time of the vacancy in the office of President of India. So in the words of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, the strength of the democracy, it does not lies, or it lies in the office that command respect without power. All right, so that would be all in today's session. I hope that now you have a wonderful idea about the Vice President of India and the constitutional provisions that are given in our Constitution of India. So that would be all. I'll meet you in the next video and we'll discuss about another important polity concept in the next 20 minutes. Thank you. Bye-bye. Take care. And do not forget to like, share, as well as subscribe to our channel. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.